football curse. Plus, do the Cowboys or Eagles have the edge in the NFC East? SportsCenter 4 Eastern on ESPN and the app. Oh, we all remember the infamous Browns-Steelers brawl that Pittsburgh's Mason Rudolph instigated and ended in Myles Garrett being suspended indefinitely. Well, the leader of the Cleveland Browns, their coach, Freddie Kichens, pulled off quite the troll job on Friday, wearing a T-shirt that said Pittsburgh started it. However, Steelers got the last laugh, beating Cleveland with their third-string quarterback Duck Hodges at the helm. Here's what the Steelers thought of his wardrobe choice.
You just don't see that from upper management, and we all got to grow as professionals in some sense, and I'm glad Coach T doesn't do anything like that. You throw your players in harm's way. He's not on the field. You throw your players in harm's way when you do stuff like that with a vendor, and I hate that for them.
Listen, the T-shirt didn't have anything to do with us at the -1 moving out. I wore a T-shirt. I wore a jacket with it. My daughters wanted me to wear the shirt, and I'd wear it again. I'd put a jacket on, I covered it up, I took a picture with a fan. That was as simple as that, you know. T-shirt didn't cause us to give up 40-yard passes, and we were ready to play. That's the only thing people need to be concerned about. We were ready to play.
Our quarterback, Dan Orlovsky, in the house.
What's up?
Good to see
What's
you.
going on?
Hope you had a good holiday.
Great.
Stephen A., what does this say about Kichens and the identity of this football team?
That he's in over his head and he should be a one-year coach, which in all likelihood he probably will be. Now, I want to make sure I'm very, very clear about what I'm saying. The Cleveland Browns didn't lose yesterday's game because of a damn T-shirt, okay? That's not what happened here, okay? We understand that that didn't have an effect on the game as far as I'm concerned. There were too many nuggets of motivation. The fight that happened with Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph, the suspensions, about 33 different players fined, in excess of $733,000. Myles Garrett being suspended for the season, Mason Rudolph being fined and what have you. Pouncey being suspended originally for 2 games, getting it reduced to 2, 3 games, getting it reduced to 2. Another player that I forgot the name of the guy that pushed Mason Rudolph in the back, he got suspended for a game. Plus, there was a potential playoff berth on the line. There was too many things that served as motivation combined with the historical rivalry that it is for this to be a factor. The fact of the matter is, however, it doesn't mean that it wasn't idiotic for Kichens to do. It doesn't mean that it wasn't juvenile and immature. And it doesn't mean that it wasn't emblematic of what has ravaged this franchise since he took over. The fact of the matter is that he's relatively immature. Listen, in this business, we all know, what my role is at ESPN and whatever. Guess what? When I walk out in the streets, I'm not just Stephen A. I'm Stephen A. for ESPN. I'm an extension of the brand. You're an extension of the brand, Max. You are, Molly, as well. The bottom line is if you act accordingly, they ain't going to just say your name. They're going to say what you're affiliated to, what your association is. And the reality is that if you are Freddie Kichens, you are the head coach of this franchise. You could have zipped up that jacket. I don't care that your daughter gave it to you. I understand it. I respect that. We all get gifts from our kids and what have you. You can zip up the damn jacket and make sure that it doesn't serve as a potential motivational tool. But more importantly, you want to accept some level of responsibility and culpability. You never know that the person out there is looking at a Myles Garrett and looking at Freddie Kichens and saying, you don't think he did anything wrong, do you? Those kind of things are the things that you have to guard yourself against. And when we watch the Cleveland Browns and we see the excuses that they've made time and time and time again for their undisciplined tendencies, the fact that they have more penalties than almost anybody in the National Football League, that they've been a roller coaster all year long, that they've been a bit haphazard. You look at the head coach and then you see something like that and you know why. This is his last year as far as I'm concerned. He's only the head coach because Baker Mayfield liked him. And I believe that Dorsey and the Cleveland Browns, even though I think he's got potential, but to go from a running backs coach to the offensive coordinator to the head coach of the National Football League inside of 8 months, I think it shows how foolhardy that was, and his chicken's coming home to roost.
It was too much too soon. We agree about that. And I'll say this, and this goes back to Belichick and Brady, by the way.
Sure.
The NBA, the most important thing are the players. Talent wins. Major League Baseball, the most important thing is the GM. The guy who designs the team, that's what you're looking for. In the NFL, it's the coach. The most important element is the coach. It's a coach's league. They're playing chess on human. This is my theory. They're playing chess on, the A.J. Liebling, the sweet science. Say boxing is chess played on human bodies. No, it's not. Football is chess played on human bodies.
The players have to execute.
The players have to execute. By the way, of course, in the NBA, coaching also matters. In baseball, the manager, the players matter. I'm talking about what's most important is the coach. But I'm not going to pin yesterday on Freddie Kichens. They were up 10-0 on the road. I understand Baker Mayfield has a hurt hand probably still. Mm-hmm. I understand he's playing a tough defense on the road. He threw the interception when he still had a chance to win the game. He throws the interception that ends the game. Mm-hmm. He was inaccurate when they needed him to be accurate. Not just then, but throughout different key moments in the game. Baker Mayfield, the reason I'm pinning it on him is he has weapons everywhere. And this is how I perceived him coming out of college. Mm-hmm. Not just that by the advanced metrics and everything, he really was the best #1 overall pick, like the smartest pick, right? But he wasn't tall enough, and he wasn't this. Maybe Darnold would have been a safer pick. And I was happy that the Browns went out on a limb, or at least that we see in NFL, we're like, nope, I don't care if he's shorter and this and that, and people think he has an attitude problem. We're going to take him #1. Because the thing I saw in him made me believe that when the pressure was on, when you needed to either make a play to win the game or not, he was the type of guy who would make that play to win the game. Even yesterday, they were winning the game. They were still in the game. And they didn't have a quarterback, in spite of weapons, wherever he looks, that made enough plays to win that game. It was a winnable game. I'm pinning it on Baker.
Dan, I want to ask you a question. Is it fair to say that this T-shirt is a microcosm of this team and their identity, that they're all flash and no substance?
100%. That is the nail on the head. This is the most undisciplined and outcoached football team in the NFL. Yet you win the headlines. Cleveland has won the headlines. They just don't win any football games. That is the definition of their season, and the T-shirt puts it on full display. Yeah. Pittsburgh started it. They ended it too. They ended your season, but and so yesterday was the culmination of why Freddie Kichens is incapable and unfit to be one of 32. To Stephen A's point, you're one of 32 people in the world that have that job. So I have a daughter. I get it. Sometimes I have to say no because my job doesn't allow me to do that. Let me go win the football game. And then I'll wear the T-shirt. But one of your jobs as a head coach is to force your team to have finite focus, to minimize outside noise, to minimize distractions. All Freddie Kichens did was maximize them, did the exact opposite of what he's supposed to do. And I won't blame it on Baker yesterday because it's the fourth quarter. They're down 20-13. There's 7 minutes to go on the clock, and they just got an easy interception by Duck Hodges. They get the ball at the 30-yard line. They went pass. Another gross mismanagement as a head coach. You run the football at some point in that situation.
I agree. And I agree that...
But we've said this every stinking week.
I'm not arguing that Kichens is good. I'm not arguing that. And the T-shirt is a symptom because you need to be an executive. And if you want to look at a positive force of an executive who also shows his players, I'm with you, like Mike Tomlin has done things like trip guys on the sideline. Things like you're like, come on, man, you can't
listen
be doing
to Ramon
that.
Foster's words.
However, Foster goes, I'm glad Coach T doesn't do that. Mike Tomlin, who is in the running for Coach of the Year, that's a bad look for Kichens, especially against the guy on the other sidelines who has his players with him, is a player's coach, and also wins games and has a disciplined team. I agree with
that. But how
are
we putting it on Baker?
Let me say this to you.
I'm making plays.
First of all, you're going. Let's be clear. This Cleveland Browns weren't going against a third-string quarterback yesterday. They were going against a fourth-stringer. You got Ben Roethlisberger out. Mason Rudolph benched. Josh Dobbs got traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars earlier this season. Devlin Hodges is your fourth-string quarterback. There is no Juju Smith-Schuster. There is no James Conner. Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown are no longer on the squad. And you have a 10-0 lead. Don't give me Baker Mayfield when that happens. No. That's something else. I'm not saying he was perfect because he certainly wasn't. And in terms of your Baker Mayfield thing, I'll tell you the ultimate criticism to give towards Baker Mayfield. This man has more commercials than wins. Do you know with Progressive alone, he has 6 different commercials? And then you add a couple of more to Heisman and something else. He's got about 8 different commercials. You see him everywhere. But somehow, some way, he's got more commercials than wins. Yeah. You have any idea how embarrassing that is?
Make the plays at the end of the game when he consistently.
His head coach
All right,
is
we gotta
incapable
go.
of his
Dan's
job.
staying with us the entire first
agree with
hour.
that.
The
That doesn't
Steelers have been
exonerate him.
beyond impressive, and Dan will be selling Pittsburgh Ended It t-shirts. You can buy them on his Instagram.
There we go.
The Lamar Express continues to run through the NFL, but did the Niners actually put on a more impressive performance in Baltimore? The answer coming up.